Okay, we might start there. Thanks for everyone for joining us this morning. I'd just like to start with our Acknowledgement of Country. So AusCERT, through the University of Queensland, acknowledges the traditional owners and their custodianship of the lands on which we meet. We pay our respects to their ancestors and their descendants who continue cultural and spiritual connections to country. We recognise their valuable contributions to Australian and global society. So just a quick overview before we get started. This morning's session is TLP Green. So if you're not aware of those conditions for TLP Green, there's the address for you there through first. But essentially it'll be openly shared. So we will be recording this session. If there's anything that you prefer not to talk or openly share with our community, maybe take that offline with us after the session. So there will be questions answered in the Q&A function. So if you've got things along the way, do pop something in there and we can answer those. And we'll be trying to address the questions that you asked during registration. So yeah, thank you for everyone for joining us this morning. I know it's been a little bit of time since the last webinar, and I hope you've started investigating your options from there. I know Colby did a great presentation for us there. So as we mentioned, we were going to give you the option of also transitioning to Digicert, so that's what we're here for this morning. You would have seen the pricing proposal that we shared when we invited you to the webinar. So that's come from Digicert. So if you've got any questions along that pricing, that is going to be needed to be done direct with Digicert. So we'll be handing you over to them as a customer rather than working through AusCERT. And you'll see we were talking about an introductory offer for the end of January. So just to explain that the reason for that is if you do it by that time, we can very easily work with Digicert about what your Trustlink certificates look like through AusCERT. So Digicert have very nicely agreed to not count them in our count for next year if you can sign up by that time. You might not be aware, but yeah, we prepay all active certificates for Trustlink for the year in the beginning of the year. So that's why after January, it will be a different scenario on a case-by-case basis. So while that pricing will remain for all of next year from Digicert, you will need to talk to us about what the implications are for your AusCERT service and if there's any costs involved. So just to clarify that a little bit for you. So yeah, without further ado, I'll throw over to Daniel and he can kick off the session from Digicert's perspective this morning.
Thanks, Beck, and hi everyone. If you just give me 1 second, I will share my screen. And please tell me, or give me a notification if you guys can't see that.
All good, visible on our side.
Fantastic, thanks. I'm flying a bit blind here because I'm on presenter view, so I do have Alan Go answering any questions that you may have in our Q&A section. We will be going over a few of the frequent questions that we've been getting via AusCERT from a few of you that are already interested in speaking with Digicert. But we'll try and keep it this section brief. What we're going to do for you today is just introduce you to Digicert, tell you a little bit about us, introduce you to Cert Central, which is our certificate management platform. And then we're going to go into actually a live demo, which Henry's going to take us through, and then show you a couple of those different features, for example, automation, which is something that we've been asked about as well. Before we get going, I thought it'd be good to introduce you to the team and apologize for the pretty rubbish LinkedIn photos. Mine in particular, I think is quite old now. It's probably the last time I wore a tie as well. But that's me, Daniel, on the top left. I've been working with Digicert for just over 4.5 years now. I've got Henry, who's in my team. He'll be the one that you'll be predominantly speaking to if should you choose to transition to Digicert. He looks after any new customers that come to us from the ANZ region. And then at the bottom there, we have Alan Go and Gabriel Chen. So Alan and Gabriel are our technical specialists in the APAC region. Alan's on the call with us today. Unfortunately, Gabriel couldn't join. But they are there to help with any sort of technical questions you have around any of the services we provide. A lot of good wealth of knowledge there. They're very educated in their TLS and cert management. So who are Digicert? Appreciate that you've all been working with Quovadis through AusCERT over the last several years, or however long your AusCERT membership has been, certificate services membership has been going. And then 2.5 years ago, or 1.5 years, sorry, I should say, Digicert did acquire Quovadis. But essentially, everything Digicert does comes down to these 3 pillars. We really take care of our customers and people, and you'll be able to see that through if you look at any sort of review site of SSL provider on the website, typically Digicert is the highest in terms of customer satisfaction ratings. And a lot of what we do is also based around doing what's right for digital security. So we're quite vocal on the CA Browser Forum, which is the industry guideline body. We have, I believe, 2 member seats on that forum and 3 or 4 technical specialists whose sole job is to really interact with that community. So browsers and CAs alike to really push the industry forward. We also innovate to solve problems. So we're the only CA with an R&D department at this time. So developments in post-quantum cryptography we've been working on, so we can provide you certificates that support that. We've been looking at identity as blockchain as well, or blockchain as identity, I should say. And we'll keep improving those and keep improving our platform and really innovating to try and provide you new products to help secure your networks. We are a truly global organization, so we do have around the sun support, and the global reach really ensures that we're with you wherever you choose to work. For example, in this region, New Zealand, obviously 2 hours ahead of Australia. And we do have a local support team in Melbourne. So if New Zealand needs support in those hours that the Australian team aren't in, then we can go to our offices in California via the portal very simply through a chat, a phone call, or an email, and they'll be able to respond to you straight away. So we do offer that in region sort of 24/7 support. And when those out of office hours are there, we do have a global support network that's there to back you. So the global reach also means we're backed by the most extensive collection of experts. We do have a high number of technical support engineers across the globe, and probably the highest number of development engineers as well of any CA. Our globally dispersed infrastructure also ensures that you get the fastest OCSP response times, which means your website goes faster. So this is just a little bit of an example of our global reach. In APAC, all our headquarters are in Melbourne. So we have about 90 staff here, validation support, technical support, account level support. Typically, if you're picking up the phone in Australian work hours, you will be speaking to someone in Melbourne. So where do we see our place in the web PKI ecosystem? Well, Digicert, we see our place as providing a primary source of trust for that web PKI. We secure around 28 billion connections every single day. And in terms of what kind of customers use Digicert, well, we're the largest provider of high assurance certificates. And what we mean by high assurance is these are organization and extended validation certificates. We issue about 95.6% of those that are being used in the web PKI infrastructure currently. It means that we're a scalable business because we're dealing with such a high volume of certificates. We do provide solutions that are scalable should you grow as an organization. And we're effectively trusted by some of the biggest companies on the planet. 97% of the top global 100 banks use Digicert, as well as around about 80% of the global 2,000 companies also using Digicert. So you noticed on my last slide that I mentioned that identity online is really important. And we really see identity as key as part of that web PKI infrastructure. And so that's why we're the largest provider of high assurance certificates. We feel that we have to be trusted, and it also leads into one of our pillars, which is doing best for internet security. Some of the common themes that we're seeing as an organization is that, I'm sure you've also seen the similar data, that phishing attacks are on the rise. And with phishing attacks, these websites are now using DV certificates to have the appearance of high security and safety for those users. And I think identity plays a key role in this. So the fact that, excuse me, the fact that these DV certificates are being used, you need to give your users active confidence that they are reaching the correct website and reaching the organization they intend to interact with. Certificate outages are increasingly a common problem. I mean, as the number of certificates that organizations use increases, certificate management software really becomes a necessity. The goal here is that You need to have visibility over the certificates that are being issued in your network. You need to have the ability to analyze that certificate data that's coming through. And then what we're seeing a lot more now is automating a lot of those processes, whether they're certificate installations, renewals, whether it's just workflows that you want to automate, providing you with the tools that do that. Just to give you an example, that no one is really immune to this. The example I've got on the page there is Microsoft. So earlier this year, their Teams application suffered a certificate outage due to a failed renewal, and that brought the application down. If you want a more famous one, Equifax of a couple of years ago, that was due to SSL certificates not being renewed on time. And you can see videos on YouTube of their CEO and CTO facing Senate hearings as a result of that breach. Again, another slide that I'm pretty sure stats that you guys have seen, being security professionals, that attacks are increasing, but not only that, that networks or environments are getting larger, the attack vectors are also increasing. So scalable PKI is becoming essential to defend against these growing threats. And should you be part of any conversation within an organization, whether you're discussing email, IoT, or website security, you really need to have introduced PKI early into that conversation when you're looking to scale that network. Today's conversation is just going to be focusing on TLS certificates and their management, but Digicert does support these other use cases of PKI. We have a couple of tools and solutions that we can talk to you about, and we are focusing on Cert Central predominantly today, which takes me into my next section. Look, just before we go forward, I do want to stress that please feel free to talk to us on a one-on-one basis about anything that you see today. We'll try and answer all your questions as much as we can in the session, but I appreciate that we are limited with time, and I want to make sure we get through to that demonstration. So I'm going to give you a very high-level overview of Cert Central here. But if you have any specific use cases, please feel free to approach myself, Henry, Alan after the session, and we can set up another call. So we feel that Digicert is really primed and ready to continue to lead the way in bringing the most innovative PKI solutions to our customers. And we really do feel Cert Central is the world-class enterprise TLS solution that's available on the market at the moment. So just introducing Cert Central to you, I'm not sure if you've seen it before, but that image gives you a general overview of what the homepage would look like. It's probably a little different to what you're used to with Trustlink at the moment, but it gives you the ability to manage any certificate that you may have. So you can consolidate your entire certificate portfolio, regardless of certificate type or issuing CA, and monitor and automate these workflows across the certificate lifecycle. We do provide multi-factor authentication and single sign-on that could be integrated into anything you're using now. Furthermore, we provide API, it's a REST API that again can integrate into any management software that you may have, should you want to do that also. So the Cert Central really provides powerful insights and actionable intelligence to detect and respond to potential issues and threats. It helps you mitigate the risk with ease from single consoles. Mitigate risk with ease from a single console, such as hunting rogue certificates, monitoring expiration dates, and maintaining internal or external compliance. And allows you to gain new levels of insight as part of that analytics I was talking about earlier, with the interactive dashboards that you'll be able to see that are quite intuitive in terms of the way where you can access those. There are several levels of certificate management automation we can provide, and all of this is actually supported by our Australian-based support, which I mentioned earlier. So you'll be speaking to that team in Melbourne, whether it's pre-sale support, post-sale support, technical support, validation support. That's all accessible from the portal, and you'll be able to reach that local office. Fundamentally, at a really basic level, Cert Central can provide that certificate lifecycle management that every organization should be making a priority. So, the basics here: you can issue, reissue, renew, remediate, revoke certificates on demand. You'll get pre-validation, so you can have instant issuance once those organizations and domains are validated. You can manage any neglected or expired certificates, maintain records and audits based on what you've been issuing and reissuing to revisit at a later date. Customize those workflows and role-based access, basically. So we do have features in which if you want a finance person to access, they'll only see the finance aspects within the console. We have lead administrator, which will be able to do everything, but you can also have standard users if you want them to just enter the console to request a certificate rather than have any access to any other areas. And we will also be releasing very, very shortly a subscriber portal as well, so that any certificate requests don't actually have to enter the portal. They can just request via a link. So there's a couple of different options there. The proposal that we put to you, that you've all hopefully seen at this point, includes our Flex certificates. So we offer the Flex certificates which support any type of domain configuration. It can be ordered as a single domain or multi-domain certificate with any combination of STDN and wildcard SAN. The idea here is that it gives you the flexibility to order exactly what you want and add any additional SANs during the lifetime of the certificate without needing to change the product. So no more, oh, do I need a 10 SAN pack, a 5 SAN pack, a 20 SAN pack, and changing this product line at any point. So these certificates don't have to be dedicated multi-domain or wildcard versions, and you can instead add those as you configure the base of the certificate. So it's completely up to you, and it really consolidates the product lines that you have to manage. I'm going to leave this section for Alan to talk on a little bit later when we go into the demo, but we do provide Acme automation. I know that it was a question we've got a lot from AusCERT when we've been chatting to them over the last few months. I know that it's a question you've been asking the AusCERT team. But effectively, yes, we do support full lifecycle automation and installation on the device. There's a couple of ways we can do this. I think Alan will go through a general overview. And as I say, if you would like to discuss this in any more detail, we can definitely arrange one-on-one sessions to go through it in a lot more detail. Some of the questions have actually been asked, and I appreciate I am trying to get through this quickly, trying to keep it under 20 minutes so that we can get on to the demonstration. But some of the questions we were receiving and the proposal and some of our interaction with the AusCERT team were, are wildcard names counted the same as standard names in the proposal? So yes, we have provisioned it so that wildcard names will be included, and you can count these as just the same as a common name. It's not typically what Digicert does, but we've got a special dispensation to offer it here because we're trying to align as closely as possible with the AusCERT agreement that you're currently used to. When will my access to Trustlink finish? So the AusCERT agreement with Digicert runs until December 2021. You'll be able to issue or reissue certificates from your Trustlink account up to that point. You will be granted read-only access after that date. So after the end of December, there'll be read-only access to Trustlink. How do we migrate from Trustlink to Cert Central? So this is a good question. We're working with our PM team to sort of finalize a solution to this. What I envisage is it's going to be a dump of inventory so you can monitor your certificates in Cert Central, but I'm not confident on how that's going to be done yet. They hope to have a finished timeline to me within 2 to 3 weeks. And obviously we'll share that with you as soon as it becomes available to us. But I did have that 2 to 3 week time frame confirmed with me 2 days ago. So we'll hopefully have more for you on that shortly. How long is the Digicert proposal available to AusCERT members? So our goal here, and this has really come from the AusCERT team as well, is to provide the proposal as early as possible to you so you can make an informed decision about what you want to do going forward. So we've made it available now. The proposal will be available throughout 2021. As Beck mentioned earlier, please feel free to work with the AusCERT team to work out when the best transition time might be for you. And of course, we're here as a resource. Myself, Henry, Alan, Gabriel, please speak to us about when you plan to move or when you're thinking moving for you might be the best time. And another question that we've gotten a couple of, and this is something that we get asked a number of times, is why don't you just use a free provider? So I mentioned earlier about the rise of DV certificates being used in phishing sites. I'd also say that a common complaint we hear about free customers using free providers that then come back to Digicert Is the lack of certificate management being the key one? If you're managing anything more than, say, sort of 30 certificates, it does become difficult to manage these with a free provider. There's also no warranty or insurance should anything go wrong with those certificates. And actually, there's a little bit of a lack of accountability. I know Let's Encrypt have come out publicly and said this, but they don't take down certificates that are being used for phishing sites. They just kind of leave them there. So there is that aspect of it as well. Look, I'm not going to stand here and say that free certificates don't have their purpose. They absolutely do. If you have a website of low importance or it doesn't represent your organization, a free certificate can absolutely be a viable option. But we do feel that identity is important when using certificates online. Just to finish then, I appreciate I haven't got through all the questions. There will be other specific ones, but we're happy to discuss anything that you'd like, anything specific to your organization or use case that you may have. So please feel free to reach out to us afterwards. I'll leave the AusCERT team have our contact details so they can pass them to you, or we can share them directly. We're more than happy to speak to you about anything. So at this point, I'm going to pass over to my colleague Henry, who's going to go through a demonstration of Cert Central. I've noticed that hopefully Alan has been answering some questions in the Q&A box. But Henry, are you okay to take over?
Yes, very well. I have answered a few of the questions. I do know that a few more have been brought up. So if you could help touch on those, that'd be fantastic. But
no problem.
Greetings, everyone.
I'll jump on the Q&A now.
Sweet. Typically, I would love to speak to each and every single of you one-on-one, but unfortunately in this format, I don't think I can. But I hope that everyone is well, and I hope that everyone is thriving outside of Victoria. And to all the Victorians, it's okay. Daniel, Alan, and I are all in the same boat. We understand how you feel. We'll get through this. But nonetheless, I will kick things off with our demonstration. Again, please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A box if any do arise. Just please let me know if you guys can see my screen. Daniel and Alan, feel free to, or Beck, feel free to confirm that you guys are able to see this.
We can see it. Thanks, Henry.
Yeah, looks good.
Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, everyone. So this is essentially Cert Central in the flesh. So this is the portal that Daniel has just been discussing for the last 20 minutes. As you can see on this page right here, this is essentially our dashboard. So I want to cover a few things at a high level, and then I'll pass it over to Alan for a quick demonstration on our automation piece once I cover the rest of the portal. So as I was mentioning, this is the dashboard. So once you log into the portal, this is essentially what you'll see. Probably one of the key things that you'll want to see is when your certificates are expiring. So we essentially break this down, and you can actually customize this to your requirements as well. But we have automated notifications, which are typically set for 90 days, 60 days, 30 days, 7 days, and when they expire as well. So if you want to find out further details, very, very simple. Just simply click on this. I want to actually provide you with a more granular look as to what the order number is, the common name, when the certificate actually expires, and what product it is as well. If you want to view more details, you can click Quick View, and you have supplementary information here as well. But going back to the dashboard, we also have all of your requests, whether they be for certificates or whether they be for users. So within this portal, you can essentially set up multi-step approval processes, where if you want to have an administrator or a manager approve or deny every order request, you can actually just go to the dashboard, click here, and pretty much see all the certificates that have been requested by your team, and simply just click on the order and simply approve or reject. It will also show you information on who ordered it, when the request date was, and which division it belonged to. I'll cover that division stuff in a bit more detail as we progress. So same thing applies for the user requests. All requests will pretty much filter through over to the dashboard, and you can also go here under the certificates tab, specifically request to populate the same information as well. So these are all the new users which have essentially been invited to the new portal. Once some of these users actually accept, someone will come up and you can then go in and approve or reject the person's request. Back onto the dashboard as well, just a few things to highlight. This should be your business title, right? Sorry, not business title, your business name right here. And your account manager, which would be myself or Daniel, will have our contact information listed here as well. This right here would be your personal information. We can go into your profile, pretty much edit your name, your last name, your contact number, and what your job title is, and also just provide. We also just provide you with a few additional options here as well. So, in addition to that, as Daniel mentioned, we do have a global support network and obviously a support office here based in Melbourne with nearly 100 staff. So you have multiple channels of contact here where essentially you'll have myself or Daniel as your account managers, you'll have our email, you have our direct contact number. You'll also have our global support line and validation line, which can be listed here and dialed anytime. In addition to that, you also have a live chat. So if you're not comfortable speaking on the phone, you can feel free to jump on the live chat and place your query, place your name, email address, and also just ask whatever question needs to be asked. So additional support resources can also be found here. So say, for instance, if there's something that you're unfamiliar with, whether it be any of the certificate management tools or the certificate enrollment process, we also have supplementary support documentation. So you can read that at any point in time. A lot of you are probably curious as to what the actual certificate enrollment workflow looks like. So again, very, very simple procedure. And if you do have any questions about what the products are, we actually have a basic product summary here with all our listed products. So you want to go into Secure Site, EV, you can pretty much look at what all of the features are. You can even download a quick product sheet here as well if you want to find out more detail. But if you want to request a certificate, let's say we want to request a Secure Site OV certificate, simply you can go here on the purple tab and click on that, or you can go to the certificates option and you can also request a certificate here. So let's go order a certificate. Very, very simple. The whole purpose of this platform is to provide you with an ability to self-serve. So if you guys do have divisions set up, which I'll cover at a later point in time, you can select which division you want to enroll a certificate under. Otherwise, right here, you will pretty much enter your CSR. You'll add any additional common names that you want. You'll add the common name here, and you can also add, let's go henry.com, and then we can add additional SANs as well. So let's say lovesfood.henry.com. We can even do a wildcard SAN because these basic, as Daniel mentioned, these basic certificates are flex certificates. So they support pretty much multi-domain use, wildcard use, and also single domain. I love icecream.com. So those can all be put on one certificate. And then on the coverage link, you'll be pretty much have the option of choosing a 1-year or 2-year cert. And here you can choose which DCV method you want. Most popular we find is probably verification email or DNS text record. But again, it really depends on your certain situation, and we hope to cater to whatever your typical workflow process is like. So if we go here, you can also choose the intermediate chain, the signature hash, and the server platform. You can also choose to auto renew. I do believe there were a few queries about auto renewal, so we do support that. And then here, you'll pretty much just simply add which organization this belongs under. Let's go for when the customer, add that. And you can add any additional contacts as well that you want to have notifications sent to for this particular certificate request. Custom order fields. So this is a pretty unique feature that we offer as well. Custom order fields, will show you if you go to the settings function under this, if you go to custom order fields, you can create custom order fields. But as a general description, what they are is they're pretty much optional or mandatory fields that you can create that any person that is requesting a certificate will need to fill before that certificate is actually issued. So if you do go through a multi-approval process, the reviewer can actually write, certain fields like, okay, what is the purpose of the certificate? Which website, which project does this belong to? Which department does this belong to? That can actually be created and enforced just for internal policy and compliance purposes. So that way, the person reviewing the certificate clearly has the information they need to approve or reject the certificate. So again, I will emphasize that that is either optional or mandatory. It is completely up to you whether or not you would like to enforce that. So as of here, you guys would actually be placed on a contract. So you wouldn't see this bill to credit card or bill to wire. It would just be taken off the contract. And pretty much here will pretty much say 9,999 certificates available. And once you submit their request, that will pretty much go through to either the dashboard or the certificate request tab, given that you have multi-step approval process in place. So right here, some of you may have some difficulties currently having visibility over your certificates. In this part, under the certificates tab, the orders tab, it's pretty much your certificate catalog and certificate inventory. So this is where all your certificates can be found. You can find them, the active certs, the issued certs, the pending certificates, the revoked certificates, certificates that have also expired as well. If you wanted to, have a more deeper detailed search, you can search for different custom fields, the common name, email, certificate ID, organizations, and different product types as well. But this is very, very good because this right here doesn't require you to do any additional information where you essentially need to document certs anywhere. Don't need to update the expiry dates because that's automatically done and provided to you in real time. So as you would have seen before, some basic information that is provided is the order ID, the common name, the product type, the status of the certificate, so whether it's issued, revoked, pending, etc., the order date, and most importantly, the certificate expiration. So if you want to find out more information on that cert, again, you can click onto Quick View. You have the option to download the certificate, send the certificate, reissue the certificate, revoke the certificate, and also view the receipt and invoice, which won't be necessary in your situation. But again, if you want to show more certificate information, provide you who the order is requested by. So for internal auditing purposes and internal tracking purposes, this is very, very handy. You can choose to automatically renew. You can also add notes to the certificate if necessary. And if you want even a more detailed look than that, you can actually click on the order number and find all the information here as well. So aside from that, we covered the request part. This is pretty much what was shown on the dashboard. So if I go back to the dashboard, click on requests, it gives you the same thing. So domains and organization, this one might be very, very handy for you all. So Daniel did mention that we can pre-validate domains. So pre-validation can significantly reduce the amount of work you have to do surrounding validation. So even before you actually deploy a certificate and you're aware of which base domains that you guys use, you can actually add all those base domains into here by simply going, let's go here.com, submit that under an organization, and then submit that for validation, again, by whichever DCV method you like, say that. And once that is approved and completed by our team, what that essentially means is any certificate that is requested under that base domain will be automatically issued. So let's say, for instance, we have henry.com as the base domain, but you want to enroll for a certificate that is 123.henry.com, 123.325.henry.com. All those certificates will be automatically issued because that base domain has been pre-validated. And again, you have visibility of all those domains that you want to pre-validate, and you also can see whether it's been pre-validated for EV and OV, and when the actual OV and EV expiration is coming as well. Same thing can be applied for organizations. So some of you may have maybe sister or brother schools or even other colleges that you might work with that you need to provide certificates for, and they might want those certificates to belong under their organization. So as again, to streamline the whole validation process, we can also pre-validate. So that way you essentially only have to go through an organization validation once a year. So these are pretty much all the listed orgs you can find in here. Again, you can look at the status, you can see if they're active, inactive, whether it's currently pending for validation or whether it is already validated. Very, very simple. Click on new organization, add the legal name, add the organization phone number, the contact details, and submit that for validation. Essentially, once that's done, any certificates you request under that org, again, automatically issued. So this part right here as well, expiring certificates, same thing as the on the dashboard. You click on there and you'll pretty much be redirected to that as well. So a few other things I want to cover before I hand it off to Alan. We do have a pretty neat feature as well. This one may not be necessarily too pertinent. It's probably more for a transactional basis, but if you wanted to invite a finance manager, they can actually audit essentially all your transactions. And again, look at the product types, the amount that's been paid, how it's been paid for, and who has actually placed the order, and also the receipt for that. Again, all this information can be downloaded as a CSV and sent to a finance manager or anyone else that does request that information. And you do have the luxury of also breaking down which fields you want to search by as well. Also shows your balance history, the account pricing, spending report, purchase orders, credit cards, and settings here as well. Again, this tab is really just for your information. It's not going to be too permanent on a subscription-based model. So sub-accounts. Sub-accounts is a very interesting one. Again, just understanding that you might work with sister or brother schools or have other businesses that operate under you. You can actually create a sub-account to provide that particular school or that particular business their own ability to manage their own certificates. So as you can see here, these are some of the sub-accounts listed under our Digicert account. You can see what type of account type it is, whether it be enterprise or retail, who the account manager is, when it was created, and what the account number is also. If you want to look at more information, you can click on it. It shows you also what products are currently enabled in the account. So again, this is very, very customizable. You can actually customize the product types in the account. You can also customize the pricing, but unfortunately, you won't actually be able to access the account unless you're brought on as an administrator. Very, very easy to create a sub account. Again, just click on this tab right here. You can choose the type, account manager, who the account contact will be, and also just the organization details. And here you can see right now which particular certificates you want to enable or disable for them as well. And here in the order section, you can see all the orders that have been ordered by your sub-accounts too. So for the account part, this one is where you can enforce all the customizable access roles. You can feel free to add users at any time, simply by clicking on this tab again, fill out the information here, give them a username. You can also restrict them to certain divisions. So that way, if you have different business units within your business working on different projects or belong to different departments, you can actually create different divisions based on those type of arrangements. So you can also provide them different roles, whether they be a standard user, which you can limit their access. See here, you can actually limit to placing and managing their own orders. You can give them management access where they can have more overall control over that particular division, or you can provide full administrative access, which pretty much grants you complete control over any division and over the entire account itself. Just go on to users here. And again, all the users will be populated in this area as well. You can choose to invite new users through email too, so that way they can populate that information that you saw there before too. As I was mentioning with divisions, very, very handy feature if you guys have multiple different projects, different business units, different departments. You can actually create a new division for each of these and pretty much assign people to each of those divisions. So again, let's say IT department. You can leave a description here. You can send renewal notifications to certain individuals, and you can also, as I said, restrict people to this particular division. So that way, if you don't want them tampering with other divisions or certificates from a different business unit, that is entirely enforceable. You can also choose auto renewal user, and certificates can be ordered for specific organizations or all organizations. You can even restrict them to specific domains as well. So that way they don't have the authority to order for, let's say, a domain that you don't want them to order for. And again, all the divisions will be listed here. So very, very simple. You want to click on this division, find out a bit more detail, pretty much find out which users are currently listed there and which organizations and domains that will have access to as well. Guest access. So this is pretty much a feature where if you don't want someone to directly access the account, but they want to order a certificate themselves, you can actually create a guest URL, which will pretty much give them one-time or unlimited access to that particular page where they can request a certificate that you have specified. So you can put any name here, Henry Testing, you can assign this to a division if you'd like. And you can also assign which particular certificates you want. So say, for instance, they need a basic OV certificate, you'll only give them a basic OV certificate. And you can also set the validity period for 1 or 2 or 3 years as well. So if I add that as a guest URL, okay, maybe I'm doing assign division. I'll just use one of the existing links right now. So pretty much what happens is, right, you send this link to the individual and they will be redirected to this page where they can't actually access anything in the portal, but they can order that certificate, and they also do get a description of what that certificate is like. So there you go, same information, same workflow, and this is definitely going to log me out of this account. I can see it already. It's going to log me out. Yep, knew that would happen. Apologies for that. Great. And just the final things I want to touch on, audit logs. You can pretty much see all your audit logs here as to what's actually occurring within the account once this loads. Pretty much see the login details, any activity, it's all specified in here, just in case anyone's doing anything shifty. Settings as well, this is where you can customize the options of pretty much, okay, do we want certificate renewals, 90 days, 60 days, 30 days, 7 days, 3 days, 7 days after expiration. You can also set default renewal messages, turn on other renewal certificates for client certificate renewal notifications, and discover non-Digicert certificates. You can also go down here to choose whether you want to pre-validate at the exact domain or base domain level. Base domain is much easier just to reduce the whole amount of work involved in validation. And then there are a few other things here like the approval process that I was talking about, like multi-approval process. So you can skip it, you can do one step, or you can even do 2 steps if you want to be very, very vigilant. And notifications, authentication settings, all your single sign-on stuff is here as well. You can also IP whitelist, so that way if you want people to only access the portal from certain IPs, that can be enforced too. Product settings, again, we can get very, very granular with this, and you can actually restrict certain users to some certain product types. And so you can go here and go configure products by role. Administrators have access to everything. If you want a standard user, you can actually limit them as well. So that, let's say, all right, premium, we're going to disable this product for them. Basic OV, we will enable this product, but we're only allowed them to order for 1 year, and we won't allow them to order wildcards, etc., etc. So you guys can play around with this and more in your own time and actually play and see what you can do. But again, we do support a lot of different things right here. And this was where you create the custom order fields, which will appear essentially on every single certificate order. So you can see here, there are a few that have already been populated. You want to add a new one, field label, what is Henry's favorite food? If anyone can guess this, we'll give you a whole year's worth of subscription for free. So feel free to flood the chat and take a guess. But so you can make this required for all new requests. So this is mandatory or optional, and you can pretty much just add that in right there. So once that's added, go to a certificate order, request certificate. Oh, Kim, that is an awfully close guess. Very, very close, but not close enough. And pretty much that will be here as well. So any person that is requesting that certificate will have to populate that field, and that will be reviewed by an admin. But okay, guys, that pretty much covers a very quick and high-level overview of the portal. Apologies, I can't cover this in much more detail just in the essence of time. I will pass it over to Alan, our SE, to cover the automation piece in a bit more detail. I'll stop sharing my screen. Thank you, guys.
Sorry, thanks, Henry. Sorry, I was typing some answer for the chat. Sorry. Okay, give me a second. So let me share my screen. So, give me a second. Screen number 3. Can anyone see my screen? It's the center page. Can you hear me? Just checking.
Yep, we can hear you loud and clear, Mr. Go.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, okay, cool. So this is the center page. Now, for automations, everything can be done through this portal, online portal. There is a section here called automations. There is a couple of automations here that we can do. First one is the if you need to have some API integrations with some of the systems, it is also supported here as well. It's pretty easy to just add a key here. Just add a key, and maybe this is for ServiceNow, something API. And then you just select the users, and then you just put it empty so they can have full access for everything, and just add API key basically. I will not proceed this thing, but this is how easy it is. You know, if you want to have API integration, just use API key. The other one that we support, which is most common one, is we also support Acme. As you can see here, Acme is basically is an open source protocol, whereby some customers or some developers, they like to use the Certbot as the client software at the web servers. We will be able to support it as well. We also have a guide online here. You can see this link here. I think I've shared some of this link into some of the chat here there as well, whereby we do support Acme as long you have installed, let's say, something like a Certbot, right? You just need to go to this our portal here, go to automations, go and try to generate Acme directory URL, basically. Okay. Let me just show you how it works at a very high level. You just go to here and add Acme directory. Let's just say this is for your Certbot. Let's say Certbot for server 1 in data center 1, stuff like that. And then they are supposed to be renewing or installing Cert for APCOE for which divisions. You can choose any division you want. If not, you can just choose the default one. Okay, the default divisions. And this is for which organizations. And let's say it's for 1 year or custom length, 3 days, stuff like that, stuff like that. You can even put a lot of customized custom field as well. You can put it here as well. Let's say this is for, let's say, mobile app, something like that. This is for marketing. Okay. We also support cost center. You can just define whatever cost center number you want here. It's a custom order field basically. And then you can even put ID here or project name here. All this is custom field, and you say add. Once you add it, there is something wrong here. It's okay. Just because of time, but let me do it again. Sorry, guys. Just put 1 year here. Your work. Yeah, so once you create the URL here, you can basically can paste this URL into your Certbot. You may also need to paste these two information, the KID and also HMAC key as well, into your Certbot information. Now, don't worry about how to use this thing. We do provide everything online. All the information is here. It will teach you how to create a URL, and then what is the step here, and then you will need to place all the key, all the HMAC key and the URL information into your Certbot basically. So we do give you all the guide here, you know, how to do this stuff, you know, HMAC, how to do extended binding, how to do stuff like that. So for Acme, if you use Acme in your current organization, you basically can use this to issue and install a cert. You also can do renew and reissue certificate as well. Everything can be done automatically. So I think basically that's it. Pretty straightforward. And everything is online. In Digicert, we are pretty open on what we do. So feel free to chat with us directly if you want to, or you can even go to our online chat with a person if you want to. Yeah, everything is online. All documentation is online. So this is the docs Digicert.com. You can go for this website. Okay, everything's online. We are open. So we are very transparent on what we do. Okay, that's it. Daniel.
Thanks, Alan. Yeah, thanks, guys. Look, we've been very high level and very quick in terms of trying to get through as much as possible today. Because it's such a wide group, we couldn't get too specific on use cases that might come up. I know that I saw a couple of questions on discovery and a couple of other tools that Cert Central can provide. So just to reiterate, we're more than happy to set up a session one-on-one and deep dive into your particular use cases, and we can then probably explore Cert Central to be a bit more relevant to what you're working with. We've been doing our best to answer questions as well in the Q&A. Feel free to keep them coming through. But that was all we had to share with you today. Are there any other questions at all? I'm not sure actually you can speak in this session. Or should I just hand back to Beck?
They can't speak, but we can answer any questions that do come up live if there are any more.
Okay, no problem. FSC still a few coming through. Look, thanks for that session today, guys. It's been great to have the opportunity to speak with you all.
Awesome. All right. Well, there's a couple of questions there that I'll leave for the Digicert team to answer for you. But yeah, just to reiterate what we said at the beginning. So we have recorded today's session. So keep an eye on your inbox. In the next few days, we'll send you a copy of the recording, a link to that, as well as a document of some of our frequently asked questions that we've gathered from this session. So that should get you on the right track as a start. And yeah, if you've got any questions at all, do reach out to our team. Nick and Megan are happy to discuss what that means on a case-by-case basis for your AusCERT subscription. And then if there's anything related to Digicert, we can hand you over to Daniel and his team. Double checking our questions in chat to see if there's anything else that I can help there. It looks like we should be able to wrap up a few minutes early, which is nice. Everyone can get 5 minutes back with it.
We do have a few from Ace and also Zainab. So I'll quickly jump in for the wildcard questions. So yes, a wildcard cert is considered one FQDN as well, as Daniel had previously mentioned. And if Alan, do you mind jumping in to address Ace's question?
Yeah, I'm typing that. Okay, give me a second.
Yeah, in the middle of typing.
Oh, right.
It's quick work. It's quick work to test type and response. Need to get quicker. I'll just quickly share, actually. If I share my screen, I had our contact information there if you guys want to note it down. Let me just put that up. 1 second. So these are all our email addresses, just in case you'd like to reach out to any of us directly. I know also have these and been providing them. So I'm Daniel. Henry was the ice cream lover who gave you the demonstration. Alan was the Acme speaker talking about our automation, and Gabriel was also Alan times 2, I guess, our other technical support specialist that he wasn't able to join the call today. So feel free to reach out with us with any direct questions. We'd be happy to answer them. I just thought I'd share that so you guys have our contact.
Yeah, we'll make sure we share those email addresses with everyone in the email post webinar as well, just to make sure that they're easily for you to reference.
Fantastic. Thanks for that.
I have shared, Stephen asked if we could paste it in the chat. I did paste Daniel, myself and Alan's details. I'll also just give Gabriel's now as well.
Thanks, Henry.
Fantastic. All right, well, I think that's a good spot for us to wrap up for the day. There we go. That's all coming through. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Really appreciate taking the time, and yeah, we'll continue to work with you as we work our way through these questions, and we'll talk to you soon.
Brilliant. Thanks, Beck. Thanks all. Thanks for joining.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Hope to speak to you soon.